Hey, welcome, Marty. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Dennis Brown. I have a tickle in my throat, as you can tell. And this is my weekly Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Thank you for joining me. Today, I'm going to break apart a topic that no one talks about when it comes to becoming a freight broker. And I'm not quite sure why. Well, maybe I know why, but I'm looking for your input, right? So lean in. Today, we're going to, again, the topic is, no one talks about this part of being a freight broker. Why? Why are they not talking about it? Why do people not want to talk about it? So this is an important one. You want to lean in on this, I promise. Over 70% of you, but probably closer to 80% of you in the audience struggle with this exact issue or have in the past. Okay. So yeah, you definitely want to lean in on this. I got a lot of notes. Okay. So thank you for joining me. Hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from, and we'll do some shout outs. After the shout outs, we'll jump into the live freight broker training. And then at the end, if you stick around, we'll do live Q&A. Okay. As always. So let me know if you guys can hear me. Let's do a quick sound check. Make sure you guys can hear me. Okay. I'm still having issues with the connection on this microphone. I ordered a replacement part. It's not here yet. So I think it's just one of the connectors, but let me know in the comments, and then I'll do some shout outs. Cynthia from Maryland, welcome. Corey from Billings, Montana, as always. Brian from Independence, Oregon, as always. Frank Campbell from Pittsburgh. Oprah from Charlotte, welcome. Ali Mohammed from Columbus, Ohio. Dave Cepeda from St. Paul, Minnesota. Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you, Frank. Brian Daniels, thank you once again. Appreciate it. Glad the sound's coming in. I'll try not to bump it so we don't get interrupted. And you guys are going to have to forgive me. I woke up this morning. I have a tickle in my throat. I have no idea why. I've been drinking water, trying to kill it. But for whatever reason, it just keeps on coming up. So if I'm clearing my throat in your ear, I apologize in advance. I'll try to make it worth it. Okay. Kevin from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Welcome. Hale Narada from Hale. I don't know where Hale is. Need soda for the fizz. Maybe, or maybe that'll make me tickle worse. Ember from Houston, Texas. So hang with us here. If you're just getting started, if you're catching this on replay, hit me up in the comments with #replay. I love to hear from my replay folks. I know sometimes you can't make it here in the middle of the day, and sometimes you'll catch it in the morning or at night, but I do appreciate no matter where you are, when you are checking out the channel and these Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. So if you guys are ready and you're excited and you've gotten value from a previous live, hit the like button now. I don't care if you're on YouTube. I don't care if you're on LinkedIn. I don't care if you're on Facebook. I don't care where you are. I streamed all those channels. Hit the like button now. Show me that you guys really want me to do these weekly trainings. And if you do, I'll come back every week and do these free trainings. Okay. I've been doing them for years. But again, sometimes we have a lot more engagement than others. So that's a gauge that I use on the types of topics as well as the level of interest from those different social media platforms, right? So if you want me to keep streaming on Facebook, make sure you hit the likes, because if I don't get the likes, then I might not stream there anymore. Same thing on YouTube, same thing on LinkedIn, okay? Cool. All right, great. Well, as you can see, I got a bunch of notes. And, I'm going to probably refer to my notes throughout the training to make sure that I give you all the details that I want to cover today. And this is a really, really important topic, okay? But again, here's the agenda. We did some shout outs. We're going to jump into the Freight Broker Bootcamp training, or Freight Broker Live training. And then we are going to do live Q&A at the end, but you have to hold your questions to the end. I'll let you know when to submit your questions. I will do my absolute best to try to get to everybody with the time allotted, okay? And that could be about this training. That could be about just freight broker startup or freight broker sales or marketing or whatever. You can do whatever you want there, okay? You can ask me any questions you want. I'll do my absolute best. And I don't know why this is, that's not supposed to be doing that. Okay. Sweet. Okay. So here we go. 70+% of all new freight brokers and freight agents struggle with this problem. I know that's a strong statement, but the reality is it's true. It's probably closer to 80% in reality. All right. And this is one of the most common problems that I've seen in the last 15 plus years since launching my online freight broker training program that you guys probably know as Freight Broker Bootcamp. Okay. So it's one of the most common problems that I've heard and ran into with students, new students. Okay. The interesting part is that no one wants to talk about it. Okay. No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to admit it. And I understand why, because I was the same way. I struggled with the exact same problem when I started my freight broker business. Matter of fact, every business I've ever started, I struggled with this exact same problem. And I definitely didn't want to talk about it. Okay. It's a little bit embarrassing and you have to be a little bit vulnerable. And sometimes we have a hard time doing that, right? Unless they're close friends and family around you. And sometimes that's even difficult. So today I'm going to share the problem plaguing most new freight brokers and freight agents. So if you fit into that category, I want you to lean in because believe it or not, it's not sales. It's not negotiating. It's not finding trucks. It's not rating shipments. It's not how to get shippers. Okay. It's none of those things. So here's drum roll, please. Okay. So here's where we're at. It's called impostor syndrome. Now, hang tight because that's probably not what you expected. But in this freight broker training, I'm going to share with you, first of all, what is impostor syndrome, how to recognize it, and how to get past it, right? How to overcome impostor syndrome as a new freight broker or freight agent. So first, what exactly is imposter syndrome, right? So I looked up the definition because my definition is different, but I wanted to make sure I hit it on the head. So the definition is the persistent feeling of being a fraud despite evidence of success, often accompanied by self-doubt and or a fear of being found out as unqualified. Has anybody felt that way? Raise your hand. Has anybody felt that way? I know I have. I know that I've struggled with that my whole life. And I know a lot of people do. So as a freight broker, it shouldn't shock you if you're new to this business as a freight broker, freight agent, that you have some of those feelings. So again, not only am I going to share with you what it is, but I'm going to share with you kind of how to recognize it and how to get past it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hold tight. Okay. I promise you, this training could have a huge, huge impact on your business, whether you've already started your business or whether you're just looking to start your business, because I'm sure some of you are struggling right now with imposter syndrome. Okay. So first part, why are freight brokers and freight agents so vulnerable to imposter syndrome? Well, as a new business owner, as a business owner in general, there's no exact roadmap. There's no boss, right? You're wearing all the hats. And so it's just you. So you have that pressure, right? There's that pressure of performing, right? There's that pressure to look like you have it all figured out, right? There's always that pressure. You also have social media comparison, that social media comparison trap. I call it compare-itis, right? Compare-itis is when you're comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10, right? They're way further ahead in the book than you are, and you're comparing your results to theirs, right? So compare-itis is a term that I coined many years ago, and it's a real problem, right? And then last but not least, you've got your entire self-worth tied to the success of your business. So those are some of the reasons why freight brokers are vulnerable, why entrepreneurs are vulnerable, why freight agents are vulnerable to compare-itis. All right. Now, here are some signs that you might want to pay attention to see if you are in the midst of imposter syndrome, right? If you're dealing with imposter syndrome and you don't even know it, right? So recognizing it is very, very important. So here's a few. Self-doubt. You're constantly questioning your abilities and your competence. So you're constantly questioning your abilities and competence, right? So that self-doubt, if you're seeing that or hearing that or feeling that self-doubt, that's an indicator that you might be dealing with imposter syndrome. Another one, fear of failure, right? Fear of failure, an intense fear of being exposed as inadequate or unqualified, right? So I think that's the one that most people can kind of recognize. They're like, well, who am I to become a freight broker? I didn't have any trucking experience. I didn't have any logistics experience. Well, guess what? Neither did I. When I started my business, I had zero experience. You probably know more right now than I did when I first got started, right? So it's that intense fear that you're going to be found out, that you're not qualified. Perfectionism, another one, big one, right? You strive for unrealistic perfectionism, right? Unrealistic standards. And, being just basically being overcritical of your work. Okay. I mean, there's some pros and cons to that, but that's definitely an indicator that you may be in the middle of imposter syndrome or struggling with it. And the last one is a paralysis by analysis, right? Being overwhelmed by self-doubt and unable to take action, right? Or make decisions because you're not sure which way to go, right? Your paralysis by analysis is you looking at every piece of data out there in order to make a decision, and then that paralyzes you, not allowing you to make effective decisions quickly, okay? All right, so now the important part. How do we overcome imposter syndrome? Well, it's not easy, but it's possible. So if you want to learn that, make sure you hold tight, right? Hold tight here, because I'm going to walk you through a few steps that's going to help you get through that. And the first one is what I said earlier on, is you have to recognize when you're in the midst of imposter syndrome or when you're struggling with it. That's the reason why I pointed out those indicators, right? The last part, right? The signs that you're dealing with imposter syndrome. That's the reason why I pointed it out, because you need to recognize you're there. A lot of people don't even recognize it. They just are frozen with fear that they're going to be found out because they feel inadequate or unqualified, right? Number two, document your wins, right? Every win that you have, and every win doesn't always mean $1, right? It doesn't mean $. The small wins, the big wins, document your wins. Every customer you get, every lane you win, every load you move, every goal that you hit, right? Big or small, document it, because that's going to help build your confidence, and that's going to help build your momentum, and that's going to get you out of that imposter syndrome mindset. Okay. Number three, you have to reframe your mistakes as opportunities. Now, what do I mean by that? Everybody's afraid to make mistakes, but the fact is we're all going to make mistakes. That's the way it is. We're going to fail our way to success. That means we're going to make mistakes. So you have to reframe those mistakes and those errors and those little failures as opportunities, because every time you make a mistake, the most important part of that process is what you learn from that mistake. Okay. So you have to learn how to reframe mistakes into opportunities. Don't be so afraid to fail. Don't be so afraid to make mistakes. All right. That's number three. Number four, this is a huge one. And this is one that I didn't really have the opportunity when I first got started. And that is, talk about it. Talk about this with your peers and your colleagues. Find a group on Facebook or LinkedIn, or develop a small group of new freight brokers and freight agents, or new entrepreneurs in general, and talk about what you're struggling with. Talk about the imposter syndrome. It's the reason why I'm here today talking to you about it, because I want you to talk about it, right? It's very important that you understand it's okay to have imposter syndrome. Some of the most successful people in the world, in every field you can imagine, have felt imposter syndrome at one time or another in their career. And some of them, like myself, still struggle with it today. Okay. And then number five, this is the key, right? You got to take action. You can't wait for all the moons to line up, right? You can't wait for all the lights to turn green before you head to work in the morning, right? You're always going to be late. And so confidence comes from doing, not from feeling ready or over preparation, right? Confidence comes from doing. So you have to take action. Whatever those goals are, you got to take small steps every single day to move forward. That's going to build that momentum. That momentum is going to build your confidence. That confidence is going to get you out of that feeling of imposter syndrome. Okay. So I'm going to tell you my personal experience. I remember when I first got started in sales, I'm going to tell you a couple. First got started in sales back in 1992. I had zero experience in sales. I was still in college. I was green as the grass. I had no idea. I got hired into a company for sales over the phone. And apparently I BS'd them in the interview because they hired me. I don't know why, but I didn't have a clue. And I see all these people around me making phone calls and they sound great. And I was scared to death. Okay. I was scared to death. I had no idea. I remember the first day, I'll bet you, I was there for 8 hours. I'll bet you I made 4 calls, maybe 5. Okay. I was scared to death. And so that was a situation where I didn't feel as though like I was qualified. I didn't feel as though like I knew enough, right? And so I overcame that. And within 6 months, I was one of the top salespeople in the office. And every business that I've started since then, I've felt the same way. Perfect example, when I started my freight brokerage, I had people around me. Some people were very supportive, but I had others saying, you know, Dennis, what do you know about trucking? What do you know about logistics? You don't know anything about it. You've never done it. And so that creeped into my mind. And I was saying to myself, you know, you're right. What do I know about this business? Who am I to start a freight brokerage? So that self-doubt creeped in. And then guess what happened? I started the business. I got my first shipment. I moved my first load. And then all of a sudden I realized if I can move 1 load, I can move 2 loads. If I can move 2 loads, I can move 10 loads. If I can move 10 loads, I can move 100 loads. And now I've got a business. Okay. So I looked at those little successes and I realized that, yeah, I don't know everything, but that's okay. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be an expert in every part of your business in order to start having wins and be successful. Okay. So those are a couple of examples of stories. You know, another one is, you know, when I started my YouTube channel back, long time ago. I don't even know when it was, maybe 2010, right? 2011, somewhere in that range. Getting on video was terrifying. Getting on video was terrifying. I was like, oh my God, who do you think you are shooting these videos and putting them on YouTube? Nobody's going to want this. Everybody's going to hate it. You look like an idiot, right? And so the positive affirmations that I got from doing it, posting them, the comments and the likes and the feedback, that fueled my competence and my confidence. And then I was able to navigate that. Now I've done hundreds of videos and I'm well known to be the top freight broker trainer on YouTube by far. Okay. So if you've ever struggled with imposter syndrome, okay, drop me a comment and let me know which part of this hit home for you. All right. And if you're struggling with getting started as a freight broker and you're looking for a roadmap from A to Z, right? You're looking for someone to kind of hold your hand and walk you through this process. Check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Trained over 10,000 students, had that program again for over 15 years. And we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money back guarantee. So listen, I hope you guys appreciate that. Make sure you hit the like button. Again, comment below if you've ever struggled with imposter syndrome. And I appreciate you guys being here. All right, cool. So hopefully the sound didn't go out. I don't think it did, but I get real handsy. And sometimes I hit my mic and then that throws a kibosh on what we're doing here. So, all right, cool. All right, listen, hit me up in the comments right now. Have you ever struggled with imposter syndrome? Let me know if you've struggled with it, or maybe you're struggling with it now. It's okay. This is a safe space, okay? I'm never going to let anybody comment and beat you up. I'm never going to let anybody say anything nasty about you. Don't worry about being vulnerable. Remember, first, you got to recognize it. Second, you got to take some action, right? And so being a part of a community and talking about it has huge value. So let's talk about that real quick. Hit me up in the comments if you've ever struggled with imposter syndrome. I know I have. And we're going to just give it a minute. Hold off on the Q&A because don't type your questions yet because I'm going to do that in a minute. I want to hear from everybody in the community. Hold your questions till the end. How about my question to you guys? Who has struggled with imposter syndrome? Hit me up there. Once I hear from some people. Yep. David, yes, thank you. Renee, struggling with it every day. It's okay. Everybody does. Betty, yes, I get it. And it's not too late, Betty. 68 is not too late. You know, if you can do something that you enjoy doing and you can make money doing it, you know, you could do it the next 10 or 15 years, because a lot of it, most people are going to work from home. So you don't need to commute and travel, and you don't need to be a Walmart greeter, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you probably have a higher purpose where you can have a bigger impact, not only in your own life, but other people's lives. There isn't a super chat. I do. Okay, cool. All right. So there's a lot of people struggling with this. So I'm glad that this topic is relevant to you guys. It's important. I really need a good measure, because I was debating on whether I was even going to do this today, but I was pretty sure that this is something that was going to hit home with you guys. Okay. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys were able to pull a few things from it. Do me a huge favor. If you enjoyed this, if you pulled one nugget out of this, hit the like button now. Do me a huge favor. Hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing. And it'll help to make sure, if you hit the notification button, the subscribe, and then get notified, you'll get notified when these free trainings come out. I put out new trainings every single week. And sometimes I'm sure you catch them, and sometimes I'm sure you don't. So they get lost, but you'll get notified if you hit the notification button after you subscribe. So hit the bell. All right, cool. All right, so that was good. Let's jump into some Q&A. What questions do you guys have? Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up in the comments with any questions you guys have. Okay, so Arthur has a question. He was literally right on it. I've been struggling. No shippers want to work with new authorities. They all want minimum 2 years active authority. I have asset-based MC and also same result. Well, Arthur, here's the problem. I've never heard your sales calls, right? So I don't have the advantage of hearing what you're saying. But here's the thing. You have to get out of the mindset and believing, because right now you're convinced that you need to be in business for 2 years or have an authority that's active for 2 years before anybody will do business with you. And that's just totally wrong. Right now, your mindset is all screwed up. And that's paralyzing you. You're not taking the actions that you need to in order to get past that. Now, it's positive that you're asking the question. So I'm not trying to beat you up too much, but you need to get out of that mindset, because I promise you, most shippers don't give a shit if you've been in business for 2 years or 2 days. What they care about is what's in it for them. And do they trust you? Right now, they don't know what's in it for them, and they don't trust you. So therefore, they're going to give you these types of objections, because they know that if they say that, you're going to tuck your tail and you're going to run for the hills, right? It's the same way as, oh, we only use assets, or, hey, we don't do business with brokers. That's bullshit. I'm going to tell you right now, 98% of shippers that say that are full of it. You know how I know? Because I've gotten those clients who said that many times, and they've become clients of mine. But they say it, and I've had these conversations behind the scenes, where they became a client of mine, and I'd say, hey, remember when you told me you didn't do business with brokers at the beginning? And they were like, oh yeah, I remember. We just said that because we knew that if we said that, most brokers just, they'd hang up the phone, right? So it was an objection that saved them time. They learned how to deter brokers and agents. And you're hearing the exact same thing, right? So what you have to do is you have to position yourself as an authority, as an expert in your niche, right? It doesn't matter if you've been in business 20 years and you're incompetent, or you've been in business for 20 days and you have a complete set of skills and your full competency, right? So you have to position yourself as an expert. When you're doing these sales calls, The biggest problem that I find why people get objections right out of the gate is because they sound just like everybody else. They use these old school, outdated, generic, lousy sales scripts like, oh, hey, we're a freight broker. We could save you some money. Can we quote on your freight? Stop using it. Hey, we're a freight broker. We've got access to over 10,000 trucks. I wonder if we can quote on some of your lanes. Stop using it, right? Oh, hey, we're a freight broker. We've got trucks in your area regularly. I was wondering if we could help you out. Stop with those generic pitches. I'm so sick of hearing them. Okay. You need to figure out a way to be different, sound different. And when you are different, you will get treated differently. You won't get those triggered responses. Okay. So I'm going to get off the soapbox. I hope that helps. Okay. Other questions. All right, Anthony, been in prospecting 5 weeks now. Definitely feel like I'm capable. However, there's metrics, average 300 calls, and there's a time frame. I think the time frame would be an issue for me. Been in prospecting 5 weeks now. Definitely feel like I'm capable. However, there's metrics, average 300 phone. I'm not sure who's asking you to average 300 phone calls, but if you're averaging 300 phone calls a day, there's no quality. There's only quantity, which is probably doomed to fail. I just answered a question about stop using generic one size fits all, old school, outdated sales scripts. If your boss or your manager or your owner is telling you to do that, he's just using you to try to get lucky. Okay. That's all that's happening. He's just trying to, you get lucky, you move a shipment, and then you start paying for yourself. I don't know if you're an agent or a broker or you're working inside a brokerage, but ultimately you got to figure out, you got to break away from that generic approach, and you have to customize that approach that positions you as more of an authority and someone who's educated, not only about the industry, but about the company and the prospect. So I hope that helps. Julio, your advanced training can assist individuals in overcoming imposter syndrome. Yeah, my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, okay, where one of the biggest things that most people, when people are struggling with imposter syndrome or with fear of failure, a lot of it revolves around sales and getting customers. So in my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, you can get on the wait list, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. That's not a startup training. That is a freight broker sales coaching program where I teach my exact system that I use to do over $200 million as a freight broker. And in that program, yes, we cover my mindset is the first module. It's the most important module because imposter syndrome is a mindset issue, right? Fear of failure is a mindset issue. So we address that up front. Yeah, we spend a lot of time with clients on mindset. So yeah, that's where you would probably do that. It's not a part of the Freight Broker Bootcamp online training program because that's online, self-paced, go at your own pace. It's not a coaching program. But if you're looking for a roadmap A to Z to get started as a freight broker, that's your part. That's your stop one. Stop two would be the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator if you're still struggling with how to get shippers or mindset issues like you've mentioned. Hope that helps. Ember, are all shippers on boards with fuel surcharge? If not, how should I introduce it? Also, what's another option to get the same results? Okay, so Ember, here's how rating works. Some customers are going to ask you, most freight brokers operate on what's called all-in rates, where it's a spot market all-in rate. So, if it's Buffalo to Atlanta on a flatbed, they're looking for an all-in rate, like $2,000, okay? Or more, whatever the rate is, right? So you'd quote them a flat rate, a flat all-in rate, which includes your entire rate to them, and then you're going to negotiate with the carriers your all-in rate to them. Okay, so if they accept a rate of 2,000, you might negotiate 1,700 or 1,800 with the carrier all in, and you got a $300 margin. That's how most brokers work in the spot market. Now, some shippers are going to ask you for a per mile plus fuel surcharge. So they're going to ask you for a line haul plus fuel. So the line haul is the number of miles times the per mile rate, which gives you the line haul rate. So for easy math, 1,000 miles at $1 a mile is $1,000. Okay. And then you would add the fuel surcharge on top of that. So let's say the fuel surcharge is 40%. So on top of that 1,000, you would increase it 400. And now the all-in rate broken down by line haul and fuel is 1,400. Now I use that as easy math, just for the 1,000 and the dollar, because it's easy math, right? Obviously that's not what you're going to be charging $1. So yeah, that gives you an idea. So some customers are going to prefer line haul plus fuel. Some customers are going to prefer all-in rates. Most brokers provide all-in rates. Now, as you start building a more long-term relationship with clients, you may convert your all-in rates over into line haul plus fuel. The advantage to having line haul plus fuel is when the fuel goes up, your rate automatically adjusts. But when your fuel goes down, the rate automatically adjusts. So that's why some shippers are going to want that, right? So you can reverse engineer the line haul plus fuel out of it. You just have to, know the basic math. So I hope that helps. I'm just scrolling for questions here. Hold tight. Okay. I know absolutely nothing about logistics. I know you stated that you had no clue coming in, so it's hard to fake sounding confident, and that's a big issue of mine. I don't want you to fake sounding confident. Here's how you will build your confidence. Confidence comes from competence. That's why you need to get trained. That's why you need to do your research. That's why you need to educate yourself before you jump into it. It's the reason why I put together my Freight Broker Bootcamp program. Back in 2009, trained over 10,000 students, many success stories. We've been very, very blessed. That's the reason why a few years ago, I launched the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Same exact thing. Over 1,000 clients, many success stories, right? That competence increases their confidence. Now, there may be a certain amount of fake it till you make it. And I'm not big on that term, but the reality is, who cares? Do what you got to do to get past those little obstacles. Because here's the reality. The hardest part of this whole deal as a new broker or agent is moving your first shipment. Because moving that first shipment and making $50 or $100 or $200 proves that you're not crazy and that it works. And because again, if you can move 1 load, you can move 2 loads, you can do 2 loads, you can do 4 loads, you can do 10 loads, you can do 100 loads. And now you've got a real business. So the key to getting past that fake it till you make it, and the key to get past what you're having, which is that imposter syndrome, is exactly what I talked about, right? You definitely want to first recognize it. You've got that down, right? Document your wins, even the small wins. It doesn't always have to be winning a shipment or winning a load. It can be having a great conversation. It could be developing a carrier relationship. It can be hitting whatever little mini goals you have. That'll help you build momentum, right? You need to reframe those mistakes. Look at those mistakes as opportunities, not as the end of the world, right? You're going to learn from those mistakes. That's what you need to look at it as. Talk about it like we are here. Find a community on LinkedIn. Find a community on Facebook. Find a community on Slack and plug into that community. We have a Facebook group for all of our paid members. Our paid members go in every day and post questions and scenarios and talk about issues that they're having inside that group. So they support each other. I've got people that have been a part of that Facebook group for over 5 years that, that are successful now and are still helping the new people that are coming in. And so those are some tips. I hope that helps. Okay. And then take action, right? Don't let paralysis by analysis weigh you down. Okay. Bogdan says 5 minutes ago, got off a call with a prospect, told him, you will hate me because I'm a freight broker. So do you want me to hang up now or call back in 7 seconds? He laughed, gave his email. See, that's the thing. See the difference? You interrupted his pattern. You interrupted his pattern. You sounded different than the other 17 freight brokers he's heard from in the last month. Okay. So you interrupted his pattern. You sounded different. He laughed, right? You broke his pattern. And then he gave you his email. Now, that's a start. I mean, he's not a customer yet, but it's better than him giving you a smokescreen objection like, oh, well, we only do business with brokers that have been in business for 2 years, which is a lie. Okay? So great job. I love it. I'm scrolling. Give me a minute. Mr. Seamus, go back through the replay if you would. Okay? I don't want to rehash all that. Go back through the replay. So the question is, what about shippers that take advantage of brokers by asking for free quotes? Because I know you added that in the other part, the other thing. Most cases, brokers don't want to waste time, or shippers don't want to waste time asking for quotes. Will they use quotes to compare against their current providers? Yes. There's nothing you can do about it. It's business. Okay. But the way I do it, the one way you can do it is very simple. I let my prospects know before I ever quote that I'm not going to be the cheapest. And if being the cheapest is the most important thing to them, then I'm probably not a good fit and we can just save time. Now, most people are scared shitless to say that because they're afraid that the person's going to say they're going to hang up. If they're focused on just being the cheapest, I want them to hang up. I don't want to spend hours and 16 emails and 14 voicemails going back and forth with somebody just for them to come back to me and say, well, Dennis, if you're $5 cheaper than my current provider, I'll give you the lane. That's a joke. I don't waste my time with those jokers. Those guys are a waste of time. Stop begging people for freight. So I qualify people up front. I let them know, listen, I got to get this up. I want to say this up front. I'm more than happy to do some work, source some capacity, and give you some rates. But I'm going to let you know up front, I am rarely, if ever, the cheapest. Okay? I'm rarely, if ever, the cheapest. But if you want to know why my clients are willing to pay me a little bit more, I'd be happy to explain that to you. And they all say yes. Why? Right? And the ones that don't and opt out, I just saved myself an enormous amount of BS and time. But most people don't have the confidence to say that. Maybe you do. Give it a shot. How many quality calls a day is a good number in your opinion? It depends upon where you are in your business. So if you're a true startup and you have no clients, well, you got lots of time. Okay. But if you're an established broker or agent and you've only got an hour or two a day to prospect, then it's a different number, right? So my suggestion to people is what you lack in experience, right? Make up for in quantity, but you have to have quality in there. So as a new broker who has no clients, you might make 50, 75 or more calls a day, but you don't do blind calls. You have to do your research. You have to gather your sales intelligence. You have to customize your sales hook. You have to create a compelling sales hook. You have to find the right person to talk to, right? So there's a process there. So I'd rather have you make 50 calls a day doing it the right way than 150 calls a day just shooting from the hip with a shotgun and hoping spray and pray. I don't spray and pray. I use a rifle. Okay. I use a laser guided rifle when I sell. That's why I've never had to make 100 phone calls in a day. And I hope you don't either. And if you want to know how to do that, well, here's a perfect time for my infomercial, which is Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Get on the freaking wait list. If you're not on the wait list yet, I don't know what you're waiting for, right? New spots will open up occasionally. I will send a text or an email out to you. You can either jump on a call with me and see if we're a good fit or not. If not, no harm, no foul. It's not a free program. It's not a cheap program. but it's worth exponentially more than you invest. That's why I've had over 1,000 clients through that program. That's why you see all the rave reviews of people that went through this program. Okay? Not sure what else I can say there. Should be pretty obvious. Okay, Julio asks, how do you see the future of freight brokerage in the face of challenges posed by AI, which shippers are beginning to use to negotiate via email instead of person over the phone? Okay, Julio, there are zero shippers that are going to establish a new relationship with a client or with a broker or a carrier without having first talked to them. Nobody does it. Okay? They have to vet them. So will they negotiate or source capacity once the broker is on board? Sure, that can happen, right? A lot of communications is digital after you're set up and doing business with a client. That's true. So AI may play a role in that. I'm not sure. But here's what I can tell you. AI is not the end of freight brokerage. It's actually, okay, the beginning of freight brokerage in a lot of ways. Here's why. Because what you're going to see is that it's not going to displace good brokers. It's going to displace brokers that provide no value. And the other brokers are going to leverage AI to save them time, money, resources, and to improve the service that they provide to their shippers. So it will become a tool for the broker. Doesn't replace the broker, doesn't replace the agent. It will become a tool that smart brokers and agents will use to differentiate themselves. That's why you use tools like a TMS that has, AI built into it. Like my friend Tim Hyam's got a TMS. It's called Ascend TMS. He owned a brokerage for many years, sold that company many years ago, launched Ascend. He has one of the most well-known, well-respected, and largest TMS providers in the world. And if you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS, you can sign up for free with no credit card for a trial. All you got to do is put in this coupon code FBBC because we're partners, right? It's a partnership. We recommend them highly to all of our students. Why? Because they innovate, right? Because they're fair on their pricing, because, they're not some VC-backed, venture-backed freight tech startup that's going to be out of business 18 months from now. Okay? So that's what I recommend. So use tools that enable you to enhance your service offering to your clients. For example, Ascend TMS. For example, other CRMs and load boards and different tools that are now integrating in AI to make your job easier and to provide more value. So that's what I see for the future of freight brokerage when it comes to AI. Michael, how can I scale my business without calling more? Well, there are three ideas that I could share with you really quick. The glaring, and I want you to kind of stick around for the third one, because this is the one that most people don't think about. The first one is if you're taking kind of a W-2 call center model, well, that's hiring, training new people to do what you've already done, assuming you've already got customers and built a small business. And then you're going to scale through that W-2 model, kind of like the C.H. Robinson Coyote TQL model, where you're going to add employees that are on payroll and they're going to perform the tasks that you performed to build your business. So that'll give you some duplication. Okay. That's one model. The second model is the freight agent model. If you've already got an established brokerage and you've already worked through those early stages, you can hire independent 1099 freight agents. So you hire those agents, they work remote, they're not employees, you don't pay their taxes, you just pay them a commission on everything they move. No hourly, no salary, no 401k, none of that. You pay them a large commission, typically ranging from 50 to 70% of all of the profit that they generate from their clients. That gives them a huge opportunity to be their own business owner. They can work from home and they can make a lot of money. So it's a partnership, right? You are the back office broker handling all the tech and the insurance and the compliance and the billing and the collections and the factoring and the finances and the marketing and all those things. And they're the front end interfacing with the clients, getting clients, moving that freight from A to Z. Okay, so that's model 2. Model 3, if you don't want to make more calls, you can start doing content marketing. You can start the best place for you to go, LinkedIn. Set up a LinkedIn profile, build a network, start posting free for free on LinkedIn content that resonates with your target market. If you're in the produce niche, then you're going to talk about things that are relevant to produce clients. If you're in the steel niche, you're going to talk about content that's relevant to the steel niche. If you're in the building supplies or oil and gas, the same exact thing. Build a network of people that are in your niche and then post content with the objective of engaging with those people, developing a relationship, developing trust. And now all of a sudden you have inbound leads. Every time I post something on LinkedIn, virtually every time I post something, I get a message from somebody that says, hey, I was wondering if you can help me out. I saw the post about X, or I saw the post about Y. It happens all the time, almost every single day. Okay. And so you could do the exact same thing. That gives you scale without adding calls, right? Without having to make 2 or 3 or 4 or 500 phone calls, right? So those are 3 ideas. I hope they help. Good question, Michael. I like that. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap it up. I actually did pretty good with my tickle throat. If you guys are brand new and you're just looking to get started as a freight broker and you're looking for a roadmap, A to Z, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, trained over 10,000 students, offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money back guarantee. If you're not happy after 60 days, just let us know. We'll send your money back. If you are looking for help with freight broker sales, if you're looking for how to get shippers, you're struggling there with the mindset or the fear of failure, you don't understand how to do cold calls or warm calls or email or LinkedIn, you don't understand how to overcome objections, and you're looking for a proven system on how to get clients in any market condition, up or down, right? I can help you get your first 5 or 10 shippers and move towards 7 figures in sales. Check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. It's sold out right now. There's no spots available, but get on the wait list and then you'll get notified. You'll be the first to get notified when new spots become available. And hopefully if we're a match, if we're a good fit, we'll get a chance to work together. So greatly appreciate you guys being here. Hit the like button no matter where you're at. Set a reminder on your phone or your calendar. Excuse me, there it goes. I didn't disappoint you with the cough. That every Monday at noon Eastern, I do these free Freight Broker Live trainings. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. And I'll see you on the next Freight Broker Bootcamp Live.